Hey guys, John here. I hope you're all doing well. Today we are checking out the awesome Tube Workshop Lulis. And I'm not kidding, this amp made me sell my big Marshall heads. It's high quality, it's wild sounding and super versatile. It does all the classic British tones and more. It can also chug. So let's dive in right away with a demo and see how this thing sounds. Check it out. All right, that sounded absolutely awesome. So I used my ESP LTD BK-600 Bill Kelliher signature model with the Mojo tone pickups on the bridge pickup, and that guitar in combination with this wild and raw sounding amplifier inspired some Mastodon-inspired riffs, and I really enjoyed that. So for all the main demo songs in this video, I'm running the Tube Workshop Lulis into my RedSeven Amplification Amp Central reactive load and some ML Sound Lab IRs. And then later in the video, I'm also going to do a raw playthrough with the Lulis through my ENGL 4x12 XXL cabinet loaded with V30s mic'd up with an SM57. So Tube Workshop is like a boutique amp builder from Germany, and it's run by a guy called Mario, and he is such a cool guy, such a nice guy, and I met him at 42 Gear Street, which was an absolute pleasure. And I also tried this amp there, and yeah, my impressions of this amp were really good. So I was super excited to try this thing in my own studio as well, and it does not disappoint. So as far as I know, Mario builds all the amplifiers himself by hand in his German workshop. So everything is super high quality, handmade, hand wired, and all that good stuff. So when you buy something from Tube Workshop, you know that you're going to get a high quality product. And yeah, using this amp as an example, it's just such an inspiring beast. It has pulled a lot of cool music out of me, basically. Now, of course, this amp, the Lulis, is the Uwe Lulis signature amp. And if you don't know who he is, he actually played in Gravedigger, and he now plays in the band Accept, which of course is a well-known sort of old school metal band. And in the 80s, Uwe used to play through a JCM 800 with a Boss OD1. So this amp sort of does that thing, but they modded that sort of classic British circuit to add more features, to up the quality, and to make it a little bit more their own. So it's a unique and more advanced take on those classic British circuits. And I must say that the features that they added to that classic British design are very useful, and they make this amp so much more versatile than your run-of-the-mill classic Marshall, so to speak. So again, these amps are built in the workshop in Germany, handmade and hand-wired in the best possible way with the highest quality components by Mario himself. And it's just super durable, reliable, and high quality overall. And you can immediately tell that when you have this thing in your hands or in your studio or on your stage. The quality is apparent, and also when you start playing through one of his amplifiers, you can just feel the attention to detail. Now, the Tube Workshop website is actually really good, so if you want more technical information on the amplifiers, you can go to the website. I'll put a link in the description below. You can also see gut shots of the amplifier there and all that good stuff, as well as audio clips. So I recommend checking out the website as well for all the technical details. Now, this is a 50-watt amplifier with 2 EL34s in the power section. I think it has 3 preamp tubes, and it also has a rectifier tube. And it has a simple layout, but it's still very versatile. It's basically a one-channel amplifier, but it does more, again, than your standard one-channel amplifier. First of all, the amp has this switch over here, which is the JCM or JTM switch. With the JTM mode, it basically does your JTM thing, right? With less gain, it's a bit more warm and a bit more raw sounding. Great for the super classic stuff and for wonderful, beautiful, clean or broken up clean tones. When you set it to the JCM mode, it gets more bright and wild, and it adds more gain, of course. And I like the amount of gain that it has. A lot of times with JCM style amps, I feel like it's a little bit undergained, but not with this amplifier if you need it to get saturated. Now, we also have a bright and a deep switch over here to change the voicing of the amp a little bit, especially when you're using the JTM mode, for example, for clean tones and you want it to sparkle more, you can engage the bright switch. And of course, the deep switch adds a nice amount of low-end warmth. And I love that they added those switches because it's just more flexible that way. And you can dial the amp in to sound great with a wider variety of pickups and guitars. Now, the EQ tone stack is also great. A lot of times with vintage style British amps, the EQ isn't really responsive, but the EQ on this amp definitely is responsive. And they fine-tuned the mid control a lot to have sort of golden mids, because Uwe likes his mids to have bark and clarity, but not to sound harsh. So you can crank up the mids and get a nice presence in your mix without it sounding too clangy. So I love the EQ section on this amp, as well as the presence control, for fine-tuning the clarity of the overall amplifier through your cab or whatnot. Now, another really cool feature, especially for the high-gain lovers like me, is the built-in overdrive. Now, since Uwe used to use his old JCMs together with a Boss OD1, they decided to include the OD1 circuit in this amplifier. And with the overdrive control over here, you can either engage it or crank the gain. You can also do that with the foot switch, of course. And I love it because you can add more gain, but also a bit more tightness and focus to the tone, which of course is great for metal and for solos and stuff. The amp also has 2 master volumes that you can switch between with the foot switch. And that is of course handy for if you want to boost the level of your amplifier for a solo. And then there is also another feature on the back, which is basically an isolated AB box. You can either use that to just mute the amplifier or to send the signal from your input into another amplifier. Say if you want to use a Fender combo for your clean tones, you can easily switch between those tones with the switch on the foot switch. So the amp B switch over here. And yeah, that makes life a lot easier as well. And since it's specially isolated, you're not going to get any ground loops with that setup. And of course, the amp also has an effects loop, which is super high quality. You're not going to get any signal loss or anything like that. No compromises were made there. And as you can see, there's an LED inside. And with a Bluetooth app, you can even change the color of the LED. So that's cool. I must say that I love the stock red color, so I'm just going to leave it on that. But that's a fun feature as well. Another really cool thing is that you can change the mains voltage between Europe and USA power. So when you're traveling, you don't have to bring another amp. You can just change that. So that's really convenient as well. And that's not something that you see on a lot of amplifiers. And as I said, the amp also comes with a foot switch. You can turn the boost on or off with it. You can change the master volumes or turn on the amp B or mute function. So yeah, again, a simple amplifier, but at the same time, quite versatile. You heard it in the intro, but we're going to discover more tones now. And I want to try a clean tone. And I definitely wanted to try a single coil clean tone, but I don't have a lot of guitars with single coil pickups. So I'm using my Schecter Sunset 7 Triad, which is a 7-string tuned to drop A flat. And that has a very nice sounding single coil pickup in the neck. I'm going through the JCM mode with the bright and deep off. Of course, the boost off as well. And the gain not too high, a little bit broken up and compressed, but nice and clean. And then for all the main sections with the drums and bass, I'm going to enable the Fractal VP4 in the effects loop for a nice delay and reverb sound. So that's cool. And yeah, let's just go ahead and take a listen. Check it out. All right, that sounded beautiful. So this amp does clean tones super well, as you heard. Really nice, and I love the shades of brightness, the shades of depth, and the shades of breakup that you can get just by tweaking the controls. Really nice. I love how nuanced it is for those types of tones. Now I want to try a more classic rock tone, so sort of mid-gainy. And I'm going to grab my ESP EII Eclipse, the full thickness one, with the vintage Honeyburst and the Seymour Duncan JB and 59 pickups. And I'm going to do some rocking out on the JCM channel with the bright switch on, the deep switch off. And then for the solo sections, I'm going to enable the boost for a little bit of an extra kick. Take a listen. Really nice. So as you can hear, this amp obviously excels for those types of tones, but of course it also does more high gain stuff. So we're going to go back to some more high gain tones right now. I'm going to grab my ESP LTD Phoenix Black Metal that I modded a little bit. I put a Seymour Duncan distortion pickup in there. So we're going to use that with the built-in boost once again on the JCM mode with bright and deep both on. And yeah, let's have some fun and rock out. Take a listen. All right, that sounded so good. So the built-in boost is such a nice feature indeed, and you won't really need to use an external boost at all. Now let's try a guitar with active pickups, again an ESP, an E2 Eclipse double binding, the Granite Sparkle model with the EMG 57TW in the bridge. And let's see how well this amp responds with active pickups, and I'm going to use very similar settings as the last clip. Take a listen. All right, that was wonderful once again. Super cool. I love the character of this amplifier so much. The rawness, the punch, the crunchiness, the tightness, the fullness. It's so good. I want to try something a little bit more extreme now, and we're going to grab my Legator X8F 8-string guitar tuned to drop E. And this time I am going to use an external boost. I'm going to use the Lichtlärm Audio, the King in Yellow, which is kind of like a modded tube screamer to fine-tune the tone a little bit going into the amp. And this is going to be a lot of fun. And that guitar has Fishman Fluence's modern pickups in it, by the way. So active pickups. Once again, let's see how well this vintage voiced amplifier can handle really modern tones. Take a listen. Okay, that was simply amazing. So we've covered a wide range of tones from clean to classic to super modern, and it does everything so well. And I think that it does it with, a very unique character. I keep using the word raw and wild. Wild especially is a word that comes to mind when I think of this amplifier, and that's why I like it so much, because a lot of modern amplifiers are sort of really smooth and fine-tuned in terms of the tone, and this is nice and raw and filthy, and I love it a lot. What I'd like to do now is grab my Schecter Solo 2 Custom, plug the amp into my ENGL 4x12 cabinet with V30s, mic it up with my SM57, and just play with the controls a little bit so you guys can hear how this amplifier sounds in a super pure and raw form. Take a listen. All right, that was great. So yeah, I love this thing so much. The Tube Workshop Lulis. I highly recommend checking it out on the Tube Workshop website. You can also get it at Thomann at my affiliate link below. It's not super cheap, but keep in mind, it's handmade, hand-wired, super boutique. So if you keep those things in mind, it's not that expensive. It has great features, it sounds raw and wild, and it can cover a wide range of tones. But at the same time, it's very easy to use and super flexible. So yeah, it's an amazing amplifier, and I don't regret selling my big Marshall amps for this amp at all. And thanks so much to Mario from Tube Workshop for sending this amp over to me. I really appreciate it. Keep doing the great work that you've been doing. Thanks so much for watching this video, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on this amplifier. And please drop a like and subscribe, as that really helps the channel out. I'd really appreciate it. Of course, you can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Ko-Fi. And as I said, you can also support the channel by buying something at my affiliate links at no additional cost. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers.